we got a problem. I can't find the shifter. Welcome to the video. Welcome to the channel, really. Welcome to, I can't find This is our Ford Super Duty dump truck build where we're taking 3 trucks and making one decent truck. We've done quite a bit of work to it on the previous video. We got the axle underneath, and now we're working on the drive line and trying to get the cab put back together. So hopefully in the following video, we can get the cab set onto the truck and get closer to having a decent running little homestead rig. I've never done anything like this. We're making this up with some help from some good friends along the way, like Clint from CNC Equipment, and a couple of very knowledgeable subscribers, forums, Facebook groups, tech manuals, and that kind of thing. But none of them are going to be able to help me if I can't find the dang shifter. There is no way that I left this thing in the cab when I crushed it, is there? It's not here. It's not at the gym. I found it. Apparently I put it in the passenger seat of the Fubaru whenever I took the Fubaru down to the gym. It took me a little bit to track her down, but we got her. It's a mess. I want to get it cleaned up. I got something new to do just that. So in a previous video, I asked your all's opinion. Which is better, a media sandblasting kit or an ultrasonic cleaner? And everybody pointed out they do 2 different things. So I had to figure out is which one did I want to get first, because eventually I would like to get both of them. But just like you guys, I got to kind of build this stuff as we go. You can't just buy everything a fella needs for a shop all at once. That's just not feasible. So we're starting out with the ultrasonic cleaner. Our friends from Vevor hooked us up with this. They've hooked us up with a bunch of stuff. I actually just did a whole bunch of, we'll call it research, but review reading on Amazon. And the one I settled on was Vevor. So I reached out to them and said, hey, y'all still want to work together? They said, you betcha. So they sent one. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out, but let's make sure this thing actually works the way it's supposed to work before you go clicking on links and buying things. I'm always appreciative that they send me things, but I'm also always very honest with whether or not I think it's doing what it's supposed to do. Will that fit in there if I take the shifter off? I think it might. It's not very deep. It's not as deep as I would have thought it would have been. It comes with this little hose on this end. We can attach that to that barb and then we can drain stuff out of it, which is good because I was thinking about going back and forth between degreaser and evaporust. Like we could do a round of the degreaser to get all the grease and stuff off, drain that, run it through a filter into a bucket maybe. Then we could do evaporust and try to take all the surface rust off that way. I'm going off what I've seen some creative people on YouTube and the internet do. I'm hoping to kind of match those setups because it seems to work really well. The fancy people have multiple ones. You got different kinds of chemicals in each one. Well, will that thing fit in here? That's what I want to know right now. Well, there's failure number 1. Make sure you get a big one. I didn't get one big enough, but it's still going to work for some other things. There's some parts that I want to sell off of this. These are the motor mounts for the 7.3. I don't need them. I want to put them up on eBay. I got 2 of them. They're going to fit in there perfectly. We can get them completely cleaned and degreased, and it can do its thing while we're not doing anything. We'll have to test that later in the show, though, because I don't have what I need right now. I got to get out of my head, though. It's just been some very hectic days, and I just need to let my hands do the work for a little bit. Hope you guys are okay with some quiet work. I got some brake line components that I definitely want to get on before we get the cab on. All right. Oh, yep, there we go. Okay. That goes back on there. Push that clip back on. I'm going to run a ratchet just to make sure we're not cross-threading anything here. Be a good time to throw this ground strap on. Got a reman starter. pretty good time to change that out. I need to get the tape off of these. It'd probably be easiest to go ahead and get the exhaust manifolds on here as well. I do need to take them past the machine shop and have them surfaced, and these will just clean up the old gasket material off of. Somebody asked me how I remember where everything goes. Lots of pictures. Lots of pictures. This is going to get a pretty good coating of anti-seize on it, brand new alternator. This was seized up pretty good, but the bigger issue was actually this section, for whatever reason. This whole thing was all seized up inside the alternator. My assumption is it's the same reason we got to put anti-seize on these stainless steel bolts. It's two different types of metals. This steel going through this aluminum casting. I'm assuming that was our main issue. Hopefully this will help avoid it. Oh no! In the future. This is also that one that broke off inside as well. And we had to weld a nut to get it out. So we're going to throw a little anti-seize on it too. There's 0% chance this is the correct way to do this. I mean, 0% chance. All right, these are going to the driveline shop. Exhaust manifolds are going to the machine shop so they can get surfaced. We're gonna get a little weird. It's a different day. It's about 11 o'clock. I got everything dropped off at the driveline shop, which was very entertaining. I think we've got everything figured out. I explained to him. I have no idea what I'm doing, but he kind of helped explain some things. Exhaust manifolds are dropped off for the machine shop so they can get serviced, and I picked some more parts up this morning. I'm gonna do something I rarely do. Everything else is gonna be time lapse of the work, and we'll just commentate over it so I can try to get some stuff accomplished today. So we're gonna use Simple Green. A lot of people online suggested using Simple Green. I think the jug said 1 part Simple Green to 10 parts water, so we did the right thing and just completely made it up in whatever I had laying around. I'm sure that'll be fine. No way that'll hurt anything at all. Had a subscriber say he wanted these brackets. If that certain subscriber still wants these, man, you can email me, and they're clean and ready to ship out. That's the temperature you can set it to. That temperature is the actual temperature it is now, and that is the timer. Push, ready to go. Then we can just walk away, let it do its thing, go back out here, work on the engine. I finally got the other belt for the power steering pump, so we can start getting these belts put back on and everything set up the way we need to. It's a brand new alternator. The last one tested bad, no surprise there. But the power steering pump seems to be fine. It worked fine whenever we tested the engine and drove the truck around before we disassembled everything. So hoping that is the case when it's all said and done. Did stainless steel bolts on the fan assembly as well, which that shouldn't be a problem. Of course, the Allen wrench I needed was too long, so we trimmed it up. Get that thing all snugged down. Looking good though. I'm pretty excited about the progress. I will say the last couple weeks this project's been like number 15 on my priority list compared to everything else I had going on in life. But we've got a lot of other random things going on, and those random things are kind of coming to an end. So hopefully a little bit more time dedicated to this truck build and we can get this thing wrapped up, because I'm ready to get back on the YouTube yacht. Belt's snugged up. We'll see how these things turned out. I'm pretty excited about this. The whole point of this is I can do it, it can degrease it, and then I can walk away. So it's like having a little employee sitting there cleaning stuff up for me, and I can go and do other things. Being able to accomplish more in a limited amount of time. That's the goal. It looks like it did a pretty decent job. I was pretty happy with it. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put it back in for just a little bit longer. I will say once it got up to temp, it held temp really well. This little setup in the shop has been working phenomenal too, by the way. Next thing, we got these hard lines. These are for the fuel lines that come up and hug the engine block to get up to the carburetor. I could make some new ones, but these honestly, physically, aren't in bad shape. They're just a little crusty, rusty. We're gonna throw those in the ultrasonic cleaner a little bit as well, just to get all the grease off so we can get them painted up, cleaned up, and looking good. Next, we gotta fix this heater box. You can get these heater boxes for like 200 bucks on eBay, but I don't really feel like spending 200 bucks. I had a lot of people suggest buying a plastic welder. I got a wood burner. I figure it's pretty much the same thing. You can get welding plastic rods too, by the way, but I didn't have any. I just kind of took that wood burner, took my time, shoved some molten plastic around. It smelled great. No way that's toxic. Should be fine. Shouldn't have any issues there in breathing in the long run. But it actually worked pretty well. I was pretty happy with it. She seemed relatively strong. Out for the second bath, and they look perfect. Pretty happy about that. I think this little ultrasonic cleaner is going to be pretty handy to have in the shop. Fuel lines are going in. We'll get those dipped. Those can be cleaning while I can do something else as well. But because I melted a lot of that plastic, I ended up with a few thin spots. And even though it feels secure, we're going to do the best thing I know to do, which is just throw some more JB Weld on the project. If you don't have JB Weld on the project, I don't know how you plan on getting all the horsepower a fella needs. This is the right move. The carpenter pencil for the mixing stick, yep. I mean, nothing says professional like that. That way we get a little bit of that red pigment mixed in too. It really makes it nice. And we're just going to glob that on there, all nice and neat, as if nobody's ever going to see it again, because, well, nobody's ever going to see it again. That's professional. Rain let up a little bit. Back outside, we're going to get the rest of the old cork gaskets off of here. I finally got the right valve cover gaskets picked up for these. Velcros. Got the rubber ones instead of the cork ones this time. The cork ones seemed to work okay, but the ones that were on there were soaked all the way through. And before we took the engine apart, there was quite a bit of oil down around the valve covers, so I'm pretty sure they were leaking decently. Hopefully these rubber ones help solve that for us. We're going to run stainless steel screws on the valve covers as well. I had a lot of pushback on the stainless steel screws and bolts, which was surprising, but this is an automotive kit. They're stainless steel 304, which is comparable to grade 5 strength, and they come with their own torque specs, since it is a different type of steel than what was in there. So it's going to be different torque specs than what the tech manual has for the original bolts. So it's, I mean, it's made for it. You know, we put some nickel anti-seize on there. We threw some nickel anti-seize on there to help against the galvanic corrosion. I think we'll be okay with it. Battery pack's charged up to 100%. I had to run the generator for a couple hours just to get things caught up. The ultrasonic cleaner pulled about 500 watts without the heater and 1200 watts with the heater on. But the Bluetti kept up fine. Didn't have any issues with that. We were still able to run the wood burner at the same time for the plastic welding and the lights in the shop. No issues there as far as that setup goes. Those lines came out pretty decent. A little test wiggle on the heater box. Oh yeah, that thing's good. Good to go. Wiped her off with some acetone, hang them up on the professional paint drying rack there. Tape off the ends so that whenever we put the rubber fuel lines back on, we're not putting them over paint. Give them some engine enamel primer. We're going to do 3 coats of that. And the next thing is going to be these dash components. Before we put this back in, I need to fix one thing on the back side of this dash. The defroster tube dry rotted out on this section for whatever reason and just kind of crumbled into nothing. This is a pretty good time to go ahead and address that. I couldn't find the right defrost ductwork to use, but I did find some 1-inch pond tubing for pretty cheap. It has the same inner diameter. I don't know if it's the right move or not, but it's definitely the move we're making. A little bit of heat gun action, a little bit of lubrication from some Dawn dish soap, and it slid right on. I think it should do the trick just fine. Second coat of primer on the fuel lines. Very nice, excellent. The quick connect for the fuel tank on the 3/8 line finally came in. So we'll snug that on real quick, that way that's done. And then back to the valve covers on the driver's side of the engine so we can get those on as well. We were originally going to go with gray on the valve covers, but I didn't have gray paint, so we just went with blue. I think it'll be fine. Finally, a sunny day. We've been held back by the rain the past few days, so let's do something a little bit more exciting than just putting together a bunch of miscellaneous parts. I got some cab mounts I want to get the cab set on, and we need to find the right height for this transmission cross member. I didn't want to fight it in the rain. I also didn't want to uncover everything with the rain going on. Well, I got it all opened up and everything laid out, and according to this magic paper that came with it, I should have 6 3-inch washers. That I do have. I should have 6 2.5-inch. I have 5. I should have 4 2-inch. I have 6. 8 of these. I've got 7. 2 of these, I got 1. 2 of these, I got 1. 2 of these, I do have 2 of those. One thing I am terrible about and should be better about is when I get a package, I don't open it. I wait until I actually use it to open it. But this has happened at least, and I'm not exaggerating, 10 times on this build that I've ordered parts online and it's shown up and I've gone to open it and it's wrong or it's missing stuff. There's a lesson for you. When you get it, just open it up and verify it has everything it needs. What we can do is at least go ahead and get these sit on here, get our spacing right. I'll reach out to them, just have them send me another kit. It's nobody's fault but my own. When you order inexpensive stuff and kits off of eBay, it's kind of part of it, I suppose. I honestly can't remember the hood arrangement. If only I'd recorded a video, you know, and had evidence of how I did it, but I don't know if this is going to work or not. Let's creep forward just a little bit. We might have to do something different. But, oh, you know what I probably ought to do though? Probably ought to move these ramps out of the way. It's going to be a little tricky trying to guide this in there myself, but I'm sure we'll be fine. You know, I always joke about my ratchet straps for lifting straps, but in this moment, all of a sudden, I really care. Oh, but oh, easy, buddy, easy, easy, easy. Okay, they should come away from us as we lower it, right? Yeah. Okay, hold on. Let me put my parking brake down back here. Easy, easy. The mount is right. No, where's it at? Oh, right there. I need to roll about another foot or so. The ignition module is sitting up there on the transmission, probably a bad spot, and the dipstick's probably not a great spot either. The old 2-stick safety shove, straight out of the OSHA handbook. Nice. 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 What is that? Okay. I need to go that way. Well, yeah, probably an inch or two, I guess. I don't know that it's close enough that we can scoot. Yeah, let's back up just a shade. bit. There we go. Right on her. Not really any weight on it now, is there? No, I mean, it's sitting on it. Well, let's do that. That's a good looking rig. Shame we gotta take her back off, but sure does give you that motivational boost to keep pushing. Oh yeah. Well, this is what we're wanting to check. This will all get flushed out, by the way, before we button it up inside the transmission, so we're not too concerned about that. I'll just set that there for now. And let's put the cover over it. This is the one that came out of that 7.3. It's in better shape than the one that came out of the original. Yeah, see the difference? See, that one goes all the way up almost there as far as clearance, where that one stops. That one's still in a lot better shape though. I mean, we could cut that out to the size we need, as long as we get the size for the shifter boot, right? In my opinion, that height is okay right where she sits. But I think I'm just gonna take a picture and send it to Clint and say, hey, what do you think about this? Because, yeah, he knows what he's doing, and then I don't have a clue. So basically right now the top of this is flush with where that cover is gonna go. Looking back at the videos, the top of this shifter cover was about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch proud of this opening, with the new bushings cab mounts on there not being tightened yet. I asked Clint, he said it looks good, because we think those are going to settle just a little bit when we tighten them. So we're running with it, we're calling it good. Also, I am selling Clint that ZF5 transmission, and I told him the price of that transmission goes down per text, so he's been very helpful lately. He's going to get a good deal by the time this is all said and done. So with that being said, this is going to come back out, the cab's going to come back off, and we're going to try to get that mount fabricated. I got this piece right here. That's exactly what I need. It's dragging the whole wire setup out. We'll just burn a rod real quick. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, nothing structural here. We're just keeping the thing from turning whenever we put the nut on, that's all. Absolutely nothing fancy. Just enough to keep us from having to shove a wrench up in there. Where that bolt goes through, we need to drill another hole. Probably enough grease on there, doesn't matter, but why not? Like that. Yep. Yeah. Perfect. So then what we got to do is lift this up, get bolts in these so it's in the right spot, mark where these bolts on the transmission mount are, put 2 holes there, and somehow figure out how to make it accessible to get nuts onto that. We're not getting crazy on the cleaning. I am going to throw a little spray paint on it. Get rid of some of these burrs so I don't end up cutting myself. You know, too bad. We're not painting the whole thing. Just kind of some of the bare metal, that's all. And it's honestly probably overkill, but yeah. And then we'll just take some of this super cheap and affordable cleaning material, $47 a can. And then my favorite high performance enamel for that extra horsepower, you know. Guaranteed. All right. Let's see what happens here. All right. Run in like so. Nice and slow like. I don't know. Now that one was a good idea. What is happening? You want to know just the coolest thing? So on this transmission mount, those bolts that come out, they're built into it. The threaded part. Yeah. So on this one, with just going by hand, it free spins. So by my math, the transmission mount's bad. And I think that's cool. That's just the neatest. Next video, hydraulic pump, hydraulic tank, some exhaust work. Manifolds are done, so I can go pick those up tomorrow morning. This was a good idea. You know, I'm glad I'm doing this. This is great.